Welcome back, guys. It's Colin here, and we have a deck profile for the new green purple Luffy. Very, very powerful leader. Honestly, I think this leader is kind of broken for what it is right now, at least until OP11. But yeah, we went to a store treasure cup, and we got first place. So we got this very nice Charlotte pudding. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the deck. We have 4 copies of the cornerstone of the deck, the Sanji pudding. 5-drop. This card is insane. I don't think I really need much explanation, and quite frankly, I just can't describe how crazy this card is for the strategy. The fact that it's stackable too, and it replaces itself, is just so powerful. Can you imagine, like, Red Green Smoker has the 5-drop Smoker that cannot stack when you have multiple copies, but this thing can. It's just so ridiculous. And to find our most ridiculous card, we have a bunch of searchers. So we have 4 copies of 1-drop Nami, 4 copies of Zorojiro from the starter deck, and 4 copies of the event When You're at Sea You Fight Pirates. I would play no less in this. You really need to find this. It's just a night and day difference between having it and not having it, so you really want to be as consistent as you can. And then with that, I also count this for consistency, the Merry Go. This card's just really strong. You're basically playing a 46 card deck, like 34 card deck if you counted the rest of this, right? And just being like a backwards Great Eruption, making this a 6 cost, making this a 7 cost, makes it a pain in the butt for your opponent to deal with. This card is honestly low-key kind of a design mistake in my opinion, just by how versatile it is. But yeah, that's our consistency package. And then going into the other threats, we have 3 copies of the Secret Rare Gear 2nd Luffy. This card is so strong as a finisher. And even in the mid game, just like slapping it down, you don't even have to use the ability to restand it, just like having it as a 7k rusher out of nowhere. But especially ending the game with this when you have, you know, for example, 2 Sanji Puddings on board, you're playing it with 4 extra Dawn. This swings at your opponent for like 10k, 11k twice out of nowhere. Just really crazy. But I only play 3 of it because I think 4th is a little bit too cloggy. And honestly, you have so many searchers in the deck that you can find this pretty readily. And then we also have 2 copies of the Luffy Taro. Again, just 2, you don't want to get too clogged on this, but it's really cool when you're curving out going second off of the Sanji Pudding. Like, especially if you have 2 copies of Sanji Pudding, you play one on your 5 or 6 Dawn turn, and then you play Taro to play the second Sanji Pudding, and then you're off to the races right there. Even going first on your odd curve, I would not activate Sanji Pudding on the 5 Dawn turn if I knew that I was able to play this on the following turn, just because of how powerful this setup is. And yeah, this card's really good in the mirror match too, just being like an 8k beat stick that comes out of nowhere. And then for the cheaper stuff, we have 3 copies of Zorojiro. Again, I don't really like 4 of it. I think it's a little bit too cloggy, but I do think it's a worthwhile inclusion to have, especially going first on your 3 Dawn turn. I like it over the Frankie as well, because you get the Dawn as active, so it does enable a lot of really cool plays. And then we have 2 copies of the green Zoro from EB. It took me a while to come around on this card, honestly, but I'm glad it's here. For the mirror match, it's not super crazy, but for most other matchups, it's actually really strong. Like, against Zoro and Bella Betty lets you help bully their board. Against Lucci, especially, it's so good to put this down after they did a Rebecca play, rest their blocker, swing into their Brook out of nowhere, leader swing over their Rebecca, or using your Nami to swing over their Rebecca. It just makes some really efficient board clears. And even Enel too, resting their blocker out of nowhere and letting your leader run into it. It's just really strong. And then for the blockers, just 3 copies of the Nico Robin. We're not playing the Foxy Chopper. I personally don't like it, especially if my opponent in the mirror match is playing like their own Zoro and rest my Chopper. It makes me unable to activate the leader ability. So the Robin's like a more safe inclusion, if I had to say. And also that Dawn -1 ability to search for another Straw Hat means that the deck's just extra consistent. It helps you find more copies of Sanji Pudding, or like an additional Gum Gum Giant to help you survive, right? So, really efficient card there. And then for the 2Ks, we're just playing 8 of them. Again, we draw so many cards, so we're very likely to see all of these. 4 Usohachis, 4 Blocker Sanji. The Sanji comes up quite a bit, especially since it's very realistic that you become 2 less stun than your opponent, so playing this set as a 3-drop does happen every now and then. And then for the counter events, playing 1 copy of Jet Gatling because there's a lot of non-counter in the deck, so it does kind of smoothen it out. And of course, 4 copies of Gum Gum Giant. This card is ridiculous. I still think it should be banned, as I've said on this channel before. It just gives you insane survivability, drawing 2 cards, digging deeper to your second Luffy, or your additional Sanji Pudding, and it lets you play from like 1 health or even 0 health very comfortably. And then for the last few cards, we have 3 copies of Luna. We see this in a lot of lists, especially for the mirror match. It's very strong. It basically buys you an extra turn. Honestly, I would even consider playing a 4th copy because it is not searchable. But against the mirror match and other aggro decks, it's just so incredibly powerful. And in lieu of the 4th copy of this, we're playing 1 copy of Gamma Knife. This is a bit of a concession to the green decks that play 8-drop Captain Kid, being able to break up those boards like in previous formats, as well as even for randomly in the mirror match too, being able to shrink their Sanji Pudding down to a 2k, let your Nami run it over in combat. And it's also searchable off of the When You're Sea You Fight Pirates, so I thought it was a worthwhile inclusion, and it does come up every now and then. So I'm happy to have it instead of the 4th Luna, but you can play the 4th Luna like this if you want to. But yeah, that's it for the list, guys. My matchups for the night were Nami round 1, mirror match round 2, and I went first in the mirror match because I lost a die roll, but I did pull off the like Sanji Pudding into Taro into Sanji Pudding, so I did pull off like this board state, which I think that's what got me there. Round 3 was versus Arvin on Enel, and then round 4 was versus Bello Betty. That one was really down to the wire. And round 5 was versus Abani, which I'm really glad to have taken that. That's actually a pretty hard matchup. But yeah, that's the list, guys. Let me know in the comments about any questions or suggestions, and remember to subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.